one of the core messages of the story is rather than using your voice to complain about what you're against, use it for what you're for. Rather than being against everything, be for something. And I think so often what happens is people forget what they actually are for. We just
I'm with Eric Howell, who is the writer, creator, or let's say co-creator, because definitely the art in your graphic novel is amazing. It's called The Revolution of Cassandra. It will be available at Comic-Con San Diego from Bliss on Tap. And so I had to, I had to have a conversation because, well, first of all, tell everybody, what The Revolution of Cassandra is.
Thank you, first of all, for having me in this conversation. This is my first foray into this medium as a storyteller, and you couldn't be more right. The artists that came to the table on this project really made what this is. But it started with a story, this revolution, and the best way I describe it, the one sentence pitch is think Lara Croft in dreadlocks and Birkenstocks, right? I mean, this is a story. It pays homage to movies like Romancing the Stone, and if you notice, my references are all film references, not necessarily graphic novel references or comic book references. But it's a story about two sisters, and they live in a fictitious country where they deliver humanitarian aid for refugee kids, and they get pulled into a bit of a conspiracy. They drive this big pink truck, and to deliver, they roll dice for black market liquor, and end up pulled into this sort of conspiracy to bring in an exiled political leader, and all hell breaks loose, and this sort of bleeding heart, uh, all things astrological, tree hugging woman has to partner up with a right wing gun running, sort of bourbon drinking pilot to save her sister from the firing squad. And they have to find a way together to make things work. And it's this action romance of my youth, right? Of what I grew up with in movies like Romancing the Stone and Indiana Jones and you name it, the movies like that. So it came from my filmmaking experience, documentary filmmaking experience around the world, and my observation of the people out there doing the work on the ground to help other people. And I just wanted to make a beautiful story about it. And I wrote it as a screenplay originally. It won all sorts of awards and got recognized. And the studio said, "This is great, but it has too much of an opinion." And I said, "So you tell me
I'm sorry for laughing,
right?
and yet that feels
That is
so
it.
accurate. Where even Superman has been politicized only because people didn't realize what it was about for 85 years.
Exactly. Exactly. They didn't. Oh, really? Yeah, you're exactly right. And so that hit me, and I was like, well, screw you. Then I'm going to go find another way to tell this story. And I was blessed to find some investors because and investors who said we want to pay every artist a living wage to help get this made. And I'm really proud of the fact that they did that and that we were able to pay a group of artists. They each did two chapters. We had a layout artist and a letterer, and we brought it all together. And we did it during the height of COVID. So we put food on the table for some really wonderful people. Um, and I have never worked so hard and learned so much and fell so hard and as going down this road. And what a great experience it's been. I'm so excited to finally be able to get it out to the world.
What was the time period of this? Because I mean, you've got six chapters. I read the first two because as I emailed you, it's like it's so beautiful. I just want to buy the book and have it physically. Some people can do digital. That's great. I need to have that physical. I can't wait for Comic-Con. And but they look the art styles are similar enough that it's really a nice meld. So how long was that process? Just to, you've had the script, the artists are
So,
working on this.
so from the idea of, okay, I'm going to turn this into a graphic novel, to raising the money to do so. So the script is already done. So I'm not including the writing process of the screenplay.
Hmm.
Uh, 6 years. It took 6, 7 years to get from, okay, we're gonna make this. Uh, Now I got to find the artists, which took forever and was difficult. And then I'm gonna and do the layout, and it was so rudimentary, and I had to go through a learning process. Oh, that's great that you have a screenplay, but that's not in the format of a
Right.
graphic novel. So you have to rewrite the screenplay in our form. You have to come into our world and embrace how we do things. And boy, did I learn a lot. And thankfully I had artists that were able to work with me and find that path. But yeah, it was like 6, 7 years that this has taken to
It's
get.
also, if if I'm reading the PDF correctly and the way I had to scan it across, is it's almost more European album in feel than a
You're right.
graphic novel. It's
I mean,
more
yeah,
widescreen, and
yeah.
I love it because knowing that it started as a screenplay, that it is and isn't the layout of a movie, and that's great that it is its own thing.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's so interesting that you picked up on that. And I'm really grateful because I'm not going to lie, the imposter syndrome is real, right? I'm in a medium that is steeped in tradition and steeped in just amazing stories. But I didn't grow up as a comic book kid. I grew up as a movie kid. And when I decided to turn this into a graphic novel, I stumbled. I was like, well, where's my inspiration? And I literally ended up stumbling upon Belgian and French
Of
graphic
course,
novels, and they were painterly, and I was like, oh, this is where I need to be. This is how I see it, is that it's a more painterly experience. It's a lower contrast, right? It's not this super high contrast, very stark graphic quality to it. It's a lot more of a pulling yourself into a painting. And once I saw that, I kind of knew the direction. And the way to keep the consistency was to go from artist to artist, but we maintain the same colorist, and Grant Golish. And so the color is what brings us through. And you can hardly, it's weird. I mean, no offense to any of the pencilers because they were wonderful. But once you're sucked in, you're there. And it's the color that actually brings us through the story, I find. And then some of the flashbacks, as you saw, we had another team that was doing hand watercolor so that it felt completely different from what we were doing on the present day storyline.
that's a wonderful effect. And I want to call out the names: Jordan Raskin, as chapters 1 and 2; Orpheus Galar is chapters 3 and 4; and Gustavo Vasquez 5 and 6.
Exactly.
The flashback, I'm sorry, I didn't get his name.
Brandon Everett
Okay, there we go.
and yep, and Jillian Alexiel was the colorist for the watercolors, and Grant Golish was our digital colorist, and then DC Hopkins was our letterer. Um, and we've actually just had it lettered and translated into Spanish as well. The entire thing will be available in Spanish
Wonderful.
as soon as I
And,
find a Spanish publisher.
but
So if you're in Spanish language publishers, let me know.
how did you find Bliss on Tap? How did this get to them?
Okay, so the story is I work in the film industry. I had a film. Okay, so I worked years ago on a Sam Raimi movie as a stuntman. It's where I started in the business. I worked as a stuntman on a movie called A Simple Plan. And on that movie, I met a guy named David Steffen. David Steffen is a storyboard artist and was with Disney for years. He did Lumiere. He did the Buddy Hackett pigeon. He was the
Hmm.
animator for those characters.
Seagull,
Seagull.
because
I'm sorry,
because I
Seagull.
know somebody's watching this
I
screaming,
know, I
it's
know.
a
I'm sorry.
seagull.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm sorry. But at least I know it's Buddy Hackett. Okay.
Yes, yeah, there we
Um,
go.
he's a wonderful man. He was Sam Raimi's storyboard artist for years, and we we got reintroduced after I made a short film that got recognized by the Academy, and he's an Academy voter, and he uh, he reached out to me, and we began this relationship. And he's doing all these great projects, and he's doing one called Train 8, which is an amazing zombie. Think Speed in a train with zombies. All right, I mean, it's just this really fun uh, project that he's been working on for years. And he made a graphic novel based on, well, he wrote it first as a graphic novel, and then converted it into a screenplay. But he had a publisher, and he said, "You should talk to my publisher, Brian Phillipson over at Bliss on Tap." Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I didn't want to talk to anyone until it was done. Right. And that just took forever. It just kept going on and on and on. And then finally, uh, I sent it to him, sent it to Brian Phillipson, and I said, "Hey, you did this thing with David So." He's like, "Oh my God, I've been waiting for this. I know about it. I've been waiting for you to send it to me. I'm glad it's done." And he immediately picked it up and said, "Yeah, well, let's do this. This is wonderful." And Brian works in the studio system, but has been doing this with his father, who was a Disney animator, for like 20 some years. They've been running Bliss on Tap, doing these great titles and doing these great stories. And every year they try to lean into a new story or a new series. And this year they picked us up, and we're going to be at Comic Con, booth 5533. They've had it for years, and they're
I
going
know
to
it
make it.
well.
And they're going to make it the Revolution of Cassandra booth this year. So I'm in the process of prepping that and figuring out what that is. It'll be my first Comic Con. I've never been to a Comic Con in my life. I'm terrified. I'm not going to lie.
Stay close to the booth. As long as you have an anchor, I can, that's my professional advice. And I go
What
to,
is it? What is it? What is it? So that's your advice. Stay close to the booth.
for your first one, I mean, you at least know you have that safe space
Got it.
because it can be overwhelming. And if you make the impact that I think you should, and I grant there's a lot of noise
There's a lot of
at Comic
noise.
Con, but if people start noticing, you want to be there so you can talk about this book,
Yeah.
which is interesting. You have too much of an opinion. I got to go back to that because, like a lot of fiction that I'm reading right now, kind of catching up on my stack, no matter what genre. I just read a sci-fi one. Same thing where I went, the last 6 months of what's going on in the world have made what used to be, oh, that would have been a cool story, into it just suddenly has a completely different meaning
Yeah, it
than,
really
than it
does.
would have,
Yeah.
2 years ago, 3 years ago.
You're not
So, how do
wrong.
you
You're not
feel
wrong.
about that? The impact of the Revolution of Cassandra, which is about people, you said, helping refugees, doing all the things we're supposed to be doing as human beings, and
Yeah.
then you got
It's
this adventure
interesting.
rolled in.
Yeah, I mean, I thank you for that question, because it very much ties in a lot of politics in that, in this fictitious country, and I made it fictitious specifically to take the politics out, right? It is a Spanish speaking country, and I named it San Paulo, which is a mix of Spanish and Portuguese, so that it was clearly not a real place. But this is a space in which there's a brutal dictator. There is an exiled political leader who gets brought in by Casey, Cassandra, and her sister Moira in that pink truck. And there is a revolutionary leader, all vying for power, right? They all
Hmm.
have their own agendas, right? And every one of them is wrong. Every one of them is wrong. And what Cassandra ends up doing is, because she's a character who believes in something, and what she believes in, quite frankly, is a little bit off kilter because it's astrology and mythology. She believes in all of
Hmm.
these,
Hmm.
which was intentional, but she believes in something so much that she changes the world around her, and she creates her own revolution in this space. And one of the core messages of the story is, rather than using your voice to complain about what you're against, use it for what you're for. Rather than being against everything, be for something. And I think so often what happens is people forget what they actually are for. We just complain and bitch about what we're against. And I think certain people in our country could do quite well with, instead of complaining about what's happening in this world and what's happening in our country today, let's start talking about what we're for and what we're about and what we're going to change and what we believe in, rather than just pointing a finger and saying what a jackass those people are, because now we're just othering people, right? We need to enroll people in what we believe in rather than chastising. And I know that's easy to do. And believe me, I do it. I am not a perfect symbol of being what you're for. I very much complain and bitch about some of the things I'm against. But I think this story, I'm a little nervous because I don't have capes. I don't have superpowers. These are real women in the real world trying to make a change in a fictitious space, but it looks, when you see the art, you realize this could be anywhere. This could be here in America. It really is about being for something and not against everything. And I think that's a message we need right now.
And I think you don't need to be nervous because, as I often find myself having to say to people, uh, you know, comics is a medium. It's
Mhm.
not a genre. And
I love that.
and
Yeah,
some of the best graphic novels out there have nothing to do with capes, if you will, and superpowers, but
sure.
all about real people. And so again, I was absolutely struck by the beauty of the Revolution of Cassandra, and had to stop reading it in the limited form of a PDF to me, just
Yeah.
because I was like, I really need to experience the story the way you and your team have intended it to be. So that is The Revolution of Cassandra, Bliss on Tap, booth 5533 at San Diego Comic Con. I will see you. I will meet you in 2 weeks, face to face. But and if you are not going to Comic Con, then you can still get this Bliss on Tap from their website. I will include that link as well.
And revolutionofcassandra.com, it's available there as well. It'll link you to Bliss on Tap.
Yes, then fantastic. And again, if you like digital, I'm sure it's available that way. But really, I think this book needs to be held experienced, pages turned. It's gorgeous. So,
And it does exist. We're not like they're all
oh, you're completely done, and that impresses the heck
three
out of me too.
three double issues. Each issue is $5.99. So we're like tariff friendly, right? We wanted to keep the price point low. So each double issue is $6.
It, Fantastic! What a bargain. So, and honestly, it is. It's a bargain for at twice the price. There, I got very cliched.
I love that.
So, thank you so much, Eric, for taking the time. I look forward to meeting you, and I look forward to reading the full story. And thank you for sharing your time.
Cheers. We will see you in San Diego.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and make sure that you don't miss out on any Fanboy Planet content. Really appreciate your time, and remember, use your powers for good.